The evidence for the Bible. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Bible that is often overlooked is prophecy, which is defined as truth-telling, or the predicting of events before they occur. According to J. Barton Payne's Encyclopedia of Biblical Prophecy, there are as many as 8,362 predictive verses in the Bible, with 1,817 predictions on as many as 737 subjects, meaning a good portion of the Bible is prophetic. Mathematics and astronomy professor Peter Stone, who was a former skeptic of the Bible, decided to test its prophetic accuracy. He found that by quantifying the probability of just 8 of the more than 300 messianic prophecies, which historically came true, the number amounts to 10 to the 17th power. Let me illustrate how large of a number that is. If you were to fill the entire state of Texas with silver dollars, the mound would universally run at least 2 feet deep. There is a better chance of a blind man walking through the state and randomly selecting the only silver dollar marked with a red X. Now, if you take 48 of the more than 300 messianic prophecies and quantify the probability of those coming true, the number reaches 10 to the 157th power. This number is so incomprehensible that it exceeds the number of atoms in our entire universe. You can see it's almost mathematically impossible for these events to have been predicted before they occurred, unless there was divine intervention involved. The historical evidence for the Bible is almost as impressive. The Bible is arguably the most preserved historical document in the history of mankind. There is more evidence for the Bible's authenticity than for any existing piece of ancient literature. Both Christian and non-Christian historians have conceded to this fact. While most ancient pieces of literature that are deemed authentic contain only a handful of manuscript copies, there are as many as 17,000 manuscript copies of the Old Testament found, dating back to 250 BC. The discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls alone in 1947 was one of the greatest archaeological victories of our time. Given the number of messianic prophecies that were recorded in the Old Testament, skeptics would relish in the opportunity to show proof that it was written after the life of Christ, and therefore written to corroborate with the prophecies that were predicted thousands of years before his existence. However, the evidence shows otherwise. Given that the Bible was originally transcribed in Hebrew, making it extremely difficult to interpret the text, it's a great relief to know that the Hebrew text was translated into Greek in around 280 BC. With this in mind, we can rest assured that the Old Testament was written a minimum of 300 years prior to the life of Jesus, at the very least. If the Old Testament was undoubtedly scribed prior to Christ's life, with the multitude of prophecies actually occurring during his life, then the deity of Christ and the reliability of the Bible as the true Word of God can be shown without a shadow of a doubt. This creates a huge problem for skeptics, given the astronomical odds of these prophecies actually occurring. And those are only a subset of the total prophecies in the Bible. There are prophecies even being fulfilled in modern day. As Dr. Chuck Missler states, the Bible is the only book that hangs its entire credibility on its ability to write history in advance without error. The evidence for the authenticity of the New Testament is even greater. While most historic works were recorded hundreds or even thousands of years after the events they are describing occurred, the Gospels of Jesus, which elaborate in detail on his life and teachings, were transcribed during the life of his disciples, who were with him in the flesh. While Homer's Iliad is the second most authentic manuscript discovered of any other piece of ancient literature, with 643 authentic copies found, the number of ancient manuscripts found in the New Testament amounts to 24,000. It's almost humorous how the authenticity of Homer's writings are never questioned. Yet, even with an insurmountable wealth of evidence, the authenticity of the Bible is questioned by skeptics regularly. The chances of 24,000 separate manuscripts containing virtually identical content down to the intricate details is slim to none. Impressively, there has never been an archaeological discovery that has ever contradicted a Bible reference after thorough research. In fact, archaeological discoveries have been paramount to providing evidence for the Bible's historical accuracy. Archaeologists have even used the Bible to locate, identify, and validate people and events throughout history, with the Bible being their ultimate, reliable reference guide. It wouldn't do the Bible justice for you to only know the facts. With that said, there are hundreds of other sources which elaborate much more in depth on the preservation, authenticity, and validity of the Bible. To recap, the Bible is the only book that hangs its entire credibility on predicting future events, known as prophecy, and the most historically reliable book ever written and frequently used by archaeologists to validate other discoveries. I hope you found this information about the Bible both helpful and educational.